You are now watching Zach Lesage, the best place to learn about competitive Pokemon TCG. Let's get it! Yo, what's poppin' peeps? Welcome back to the channel, Zach Lesage here. Today we are going to be covering over another Brilliant Stars early list. This one, a Sableye V, Galarian Moltres, Hoopa Inteleon, Galarian Weezing deck. I always struggle on what I want to call this deck, but for the sake of the thumbnail, I'm going to call it Sableye V, because I think that's the more common term or kind of big attacking Pokemon in the deck. So usually when it comes to naming a deck, you usually go with the most HP or most attacking Pokemon or something like that. Anyways, that doesn't really change too much. This deck got a lot with Manaphy coming from Brilliant Stars, really stopped some of the poor matchups. I think if anything, this makes this deck really good, if not the best deck in format. I don't want to toss that around because that word's used way too often, or that sentence is used way too often. I really do think that this deck gains significant strides going forward, and it seems like it's going to be in a really good place. So keep that in mind. The list is in the description. You can start playing around with that, seeing exactly if you like it or not. We do have the link to PokeBeat. Shout out to them for the translations. You could check those out if there's anything that you're missing or something that you want to start experimenting with your own decks. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and you want to let's jump into this deck profile and see exactly what we have going on. Yo, here we have it, the new Sableye V deck. I guess it's weird. I don't know ever what to call this deck because I actually cut a Sableye V going forward just with some of the cards that I've added in here. I'm not sure if I want to change that or not, but we'll go over the list and we'll really explain that. So starting things off, we have the Inteleon line. Inteleon's going to allow us to build up our hand and make sure what we want. And we're going to be doing that with Sobble to keep calling. We really want to be able to do things. We want to sacrifice Pokemon when it comes to this deck because our deck is all about finding that perfect moment to strike. So using keep calling is totally cool. Hitting with a Hoopa is really cool. Attacking with a Sableye is really cool. But these are all things that you want to do at various points of the game. Drizzile is going to allow you to search out your various Pokemon that you have in play. So we'll have to see exactly what's going on with that. When it comes down to it, you have the quick shooting, Drizzile, Shady Dealings. You have access to the other Shady Dealings in Inteleon. That's really your core engine that you're going to be using to make sure that this deck works. So in the early game, you have the option of going between your cast form. The reason why we play the cast form, Snowy form, is because the Pokemon that are in the formats do not do enough damage to knock this Pokemon out with its weakness. I guess the core reason why we're playing this card in the deck is to have a free retreating pivot to go in between Hoopa, scoop up net up the Hoopa, send up a cast form. You want to have a Pokemon with free retreat. This is the best free retreat that we have in format because not only is it searchable by most cards in the deck, it's also searchable by Level Ball in this deck, which does make it more searchable overall than the Tapu Koko that many other players play. I think that makes it entirely worthwhile. So again, we play this one over the other cast forms that have similar amount of HP, similar retreat, because of the way that the weakness works. There's the Rainy cast form. If your opponent goes quick shooting, Zigzagoon, Jolteon V's first attack, they're knocking you out for 70 damage. There's not really metal Pokemon that deal with it. They're either way knocking it out and it's hard to or not. So in the early game, that's really going to be our pivot, or throughout the entirety of the game. Galarian Weezing is one of those options that you could be using against other decks that play Drizzile or ability heavy decks. You can use Neutralizing Gas, stop your opponent from playing abilities, start hitting your opponent with severe poison, and really hitting them hard and turn after turn. If they have nothing, you can gain extra turns in the game. I think Galarian Weezing gives you a bunch of really good matchups against a lot of decks because a lot of decks are relying on abilities. So you also have Hoopa that's also really good throughout the game, where you're just 90 poke, poke, poke. And you might be like, yo, Zach, why are you doing only 40 damage poison or 90 attack? Like, there's decks like Mew that are hitting 200 plus damage for 2 energies. Well, we're single prize cards for the most part, but we're either building up damage so that we can knock something out with a mid to late game Fiery Wrath on Galarian Moltres. You could swoop it down with its ability Malevolent Charge, rip 3 energies on that Pokemon and attack. Or you can go Sableye, drop it, attach an energy, Raihan, knock out your opponent with Crazy Claws. So depending if it's a V Pokemon, V Max Pokemon, V Star Pokemon, there's a lot of options. What makes this deck cracked is Manaphy. Manaphy has a bench barrier attack. So this deck is tier 1 in our current Fusion Strike formats. It's been absolutely destroying tournaments up. It does very well in the metagame. We do not have a great answer against Jolteon. Jolteon's Max Thunder Rumble can start knocking out multiple Pokemon. You have G-Max Rapid Flow on Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX that can knock out multiple Pokemon. Those are this deck's worst matchup. This blocking the bench Pokemon from getting damage super helps because it's giving you double the amount of turns. And you might be like, Zach, don't worry, we've seen this with Mew. They could bring that up and knock it out with Gale Thrust or knock it out with Max Thunder Rumble. That's really cool. But we also have Clara that we can get back the Manaphy. And that really allows us to just keep our bench protected, giving us a better matchup spread going forward. So we're basically taking the exact same Galarian Weezing core. We don't necessarily need Sableye V as much anymore because we don't need to have such a polarizing Jolteon V Max counter or Galarian, Rapid Strike Urshifu V Max counter. Sableye is just an opportunity to be used throughout the game. And we also have ways to get it back with Clara. We have ways to get it back with, like, we can go Pal Pad, get back Clara, get back Raihan. So we can use it twice. The Pal Pad solves some of that issues. But in order to add Manaphy in there, we have to look at the deck again. So just in case this strategy does not necessarily make sense, I will explain it again. You're sacrificing Pokemon up to your opponent while you're building a board state up of cards for mid to late game actions. You're doing slowing your opponent down with Weezing or attacking with Assault Gate, using Castform as a pivot, protecting your bench if necessary with Manaphy. And then you find moments when your opponent's drawn enough prize cards where you hit them with Fiery Wrath, or you're going to be hitting them with Crazy Claws. Those are really the big moments of this deck. Everything else is designed around it. We have access to Ultra Ball, which I think is fine. I just have one Ultra Ball because we could search out basic and evolution Pokemon, whereas Evolution Incense can only search out evolved Pokemon. It's something that I might actually end up cutting from the deck. However, I do like the discarding aspect because Clara is almost like a bank of Pokemon. Galarian Moltres, you're rarely ever going to be like, I'm just dropping this from my hands. You're usually going to be getting it back from Clara, so having it in your discard pile with a couple energies is certainly great. I did cut one of the dark energies from a typical list for a training court. I thought that the training court was a really smooth addition when it came down to this deck. And overall, the list is almost exactly the same as what we've had before. Now, other things that I've thought of was going down or going up to a 4-3 Weezing line. I think Weezing gets a little bit better with abilities such as Arceus V-Stars, using its ability to search for any cards. It seems like our format's getting very ability-based, which makes Weezing very good. Now, if we do switch to a format that is ability-based, we could see that change. If we're not ability-based, we might see other cards like a second Hoopa, cutting the Weezing, adding another Sableye, adding another Raihan. These are cards that I think are really cool overall. We also could have opportunities where we include new techs or we include a choice belt with a deck like this. These are things that we kind of have to look and see how the metagame folds, but in terms of a base list, this is a base list that I'm comfortable showing to the Pokemon community to really allow players to grow as the format grows and get prepared for Brilliant Stars. So this would be my day one list. No real metagame in line. I know Manaphy is with thinking of Jolteon and Rapid Strike, but it does really solve those issues with those decks because that's really where this deck was struggling win percentage wise. And now we can just focus on the good matchups and continuously see success because this deck, when it's losing in Top Cut, at the time of creating this video, we just had the late night regionals. The late night regionals, we saw Jolteon bop this deck. At the late night Monday before that, we saw Jolteon bop this deck. Manaphy is the key to getting around those bad matchups. And when you have a big enough band-aid, your deck might supersede everything else. This might be the best deck in format. Legitimately, I feel like this deck is already seeing a lot of success, has a great matchup spread, and I don't really see that changing with Brilliant Stars. I just see it getting better. So if you haven't already, pick up some of the cards for Weezing. I wouldn't even mind, like, again, like an extra Sableye is certainly an option. These cards seem like they're going to be good for the foreseeable future. But Manaphy is really what breathes life into this deck that's already a tier 1 deck. This deck consistently ranks top 3 every single week in our weekly ranking format, best 10 decks. So I think that's going to work out. I don't know if there's anything else that I would really consider. Once we get the 100% full English set list, I might update these decks again, but right now, this is the list that I'm settled on. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on it. Maybe you think that there's a card that I'm missing, a card that you're like, you want to know what, that Manaphy is tight in this deck. Let me know. I do get back to everyone's comments. And that's what we have going on for this video today, peeps. Hopefully you enjoyed learning a little bit more about our Brilliant Stars format. I know that I'm having a great time searching the set up and down, figuring out every little strategy that I can share, providing early content so that everyone can have this kind of base skeletal list, or at least we can start experimenting with some ideas. It looks like it's going to be a great set, going to change a lot of things up. And I mean, if this deck's your deck, and if you like this deck a lot, it seems like it's going to be in a great place going forward. So that being said, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch up with y'all real soon with some more great content. We've been doing double uploads. We're on our road to 10K. You know what we say? Let's get it. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It means the world to me. And my goal with this channel is to spread my love of the game and knowledge with our entire Pokemon TCG community. If you haven't already, help signal boost this video to other Pokemon TCG fans by liking it, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Hopefully we reach our goals really soon. Check out this recommended video, and have yourself a great day. Thanks.